He's thought to have harmed up to 200 people. The once celebrated brain surgeon at Ninewells Hospital in Dundee, Sam Eljamel, who was eventually suspended in 2013, a full 4 years after a whistleblower first raised concerns.
5 years ago, BBC Scotland revealed that dozens of patients had been left with life-changing injuries, and since then, a campaign has been growing, demanding answers.
And today, the Health Secretary, Michael Matheson, said an inquiry was necessary to find out who knew what when and why the surgeon had been allowed to stay in his job for so long.
Our social affairs correspondent, Lucy Adams, has the story.
I've been following Jules Rose's quest for answers for more than 5 years.
How did it go? What happened?
We're getting a public inquiry.
And finally, there's cause to celebrate.
How do you feel?
It's mixed emotions. I'm really happy, and I'm really relieved on behalf of the patients, because we've been campaigning for this for so long.
I first spoke to her in 2018 for a BBC disclosure documentary that revealed serious claims against Sam Eljamel. We discovered the former head of neurosurgery at Ninewells Hospital in Dundee had harmed dozens of patients, but was allowed to continue operating until he was suspended in late 2013. Some of his patients were left with life-changing injuries like Jules. He had removed the wrong part of her body.
So, we need a public inquiry!
Since then, pressure has been mounting on the government, including a police investigation, several reviews and protests from patients calling for a public inquiry. But until today, the Scottish Government had rejected their calls.
The Government has decided to commission a full independent public inquiry. This comes after very careful consideration of the recent due diligence review, which said concerns about Professor Eljamel were not acted on with the urgency they deserved.
Those who've been behind the patients' campaign say today's announcement is long overdue.
I'm absolutely delighted that there has been this change of heart from the Scottish Government, but I think my overriding sense of emotion about this is one of relief. Because, you know, I've been in this Parliament for 10 years now, looking at the casework that's come forward from these individual patients, and I just think it's, you know, it's harrowing every time I look at these case notes.
Just gently, son, gently.
But some of the patients are too badly injured to celebrate. John Gillespie was operated on by Mr. Eljamel in 2013, but the surgeon left a piece of metal inside his body, which could have had disastrous consequences when he was later sent for an MRI scan.
The radiographer picked up the phone and phoned someone in Edinburgh. He said, he came back and he says, bye.
John's condition has deteriorated since we filmed with him this summer. He wants the Health Board held to account. NHS Tayside says it will cooperate fully with the inquiry, and it's already apologised to patients. Jules knows the patients may have to wait many more years for answers.
This is the start of the real journey now. This is the start of getting the care and support that the patients need.
Jules Rose ending that report by Lucy Adams. Well, we're joined now by Leanne Sutherland, who is also a patient of Sam Eljamel. She's in our Dundee studio tonight. Thank you so much for being with us, Leanne.
Thank you.
Remind us how you came to be a patient of Sam Eljamel.
So I suffered from horrific migraines from 16 onwards, and it wasn't until I was 20 that I got my first MRI scan, and it showed that I had Arnold-Chiari malformation, and that I needed a small part of my skull removed, and it just kind of went wrong from there.
It went terribly wrong, didn't it? The glue didn't set, you had brain fluid leakage. It was incredibly dangerous. What happened to you, was it not?
Oh yeah, it also must be so hard to watch from family's point of view. It was horrendous. It felt like 4 months of torture.
And when you go into a medical setting, you put a huge amount of trust, don't you, in the person that you're speaking to, and indeed this was the case, that you had put trust in this person. How are you feeling tonight that there will finally be a public inquiry looking into exactly what went wrong?
I think I'm still in shock. I'm still trying to process this. It's amazing. I can't believe that they've now finally said, you know, you're getting your public inquiry, we can get some answers now, and hopefully eventually one point, you know, we could put this to bed the best we can so we could move on with our lives.
And that would be the hope for so many of you. I mean, up to 200 of you in this position. What did you think, you know, Michael Matheson saying that, you know, until he'd read that report last week, he had been unconvinced about the need for a public inquiry, but so many of you have been campaigning for this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, some patients have been campaigning for years. I came forward in December and then I told my story this year, and the amount of people that came forward was phenomenal, but it's also really bittersweet because you don't want any more people coming forward. You know, it's like 200's enough.
Yeah, that must be almost re-traumatising when you do hear of others, and I suppose you have that empathy between you all of knowing what that experience has been like. Listen, we don't know quite what will happen. We don't know whether Sam Eljamel will appear for this public inquiry. He's believed to be in Libya, so there isn't a sort of arrangement whereby he could be brought back at this stage. Would it be important for you that he was, if that was at all possible?
I would love to see him convicted of a crime that he did commit, but I also am very fearful to see that man again.
I suppose even if he doesn't appear, what changes would you like to see in the management of not just NHS Tayside, but maybe wider within the health service, that people feel that they will be listened to and they will be looked after when something has gone wrong?
Oh, of course. I mean, every patient who's had a traumatic experience or it's went medically wrong should be heard, and there should be measures put in place in case, well, it shouldn't be happening, but I mean, I just hope that they could put more checks in place to make sure that the credentials are true and proper and they're legal. You know, they're not made up from the internet or, you know, bought off Google or anything of that sort. You know, I hope that the surgeons they are hiring now are fully qualified.
Yeah, and hopefully the public inquiry can go through all that. If there's one thing that this public inquiry could achieve, what would you want that to be?
Answers. To be told that I'm not insane and to be told that that man did not save my life.
Okay, well, Leanne, thank you so much for speaking to us, and I do hope that you will eventually get the answers that you are looking for.
Thank you so much for your time.